The CIB investigations into the gold scam has given way to alarming revelations. The probe is not only concentrating on the breach of the TIA's security, but has also raised serious questions on the nation's administrative lapses. The CIB has called the case highly sensitive as more government authorities who were used to obtain the citizenship certificate and Nepali passport for the alleged Chinese culprits could now be dragged into the case. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. 4 people, 3 of the same family murdered in the capital's Tinkune Gairigaon. 28-year-old Dipendra Rai arrested, several others being questioned in suspicion of involvement. Prime Minister Dahal embarking on visits to US and China later today. Experts urge the Premier to remain prepared to face questions on transitional justice in the international community. Death toll in Libya's Derna in the flood mayhem crosses 11,300. 10,000 others reported missing. Search and rescue operation continues. And Bangla Tigers snatch a nail-biting victory against high-flying India and the last Super 4 match of the Asia Cup. India to play Sri Lanka in the final tomorrow. Four people, including 3 from the same family, have been killed in a wood factory in Kathmandu's Tinkune Gairigaon. A 28-year-old male identified as Dipendra Rai is in custody. Initial reports have suggested that Rai had reached the police station to inform about the incident. The police are taking statement from few others suspected of involvement. The deceased have been identified as 55-year-old Kumar Bhujel from Dolakha district, his wife Subhadra Waiba and mother Sumitra Bhujel. The 4th person has been identified as 19-year-old Naveen Rai from eastern district of Morang. Police have said the victim sustained injuries from a sharp weapon. The bodies have been sent to Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital for post-mortem. The killings took place at around 11:55 p.m. last night. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal is embarking on the US visit to take part in the 78th General Assembly of United Nations. The Premier will leave Nepal on a Qatar Airways flight at 6 p.m. this evening. Premier Dahal is leading the Nepali delegation to the General Assembly in New York, scheduled between 18th to 26th of September. The visiting delegation includes 5 members of the Prime Minister's Secretariat and representatives from the Foreign Ministry. Premier Dahal will address the UN General Assembly on 21st of September, Thursday, next week. During his stay in New York, the Premier will also participate in the Sustainable Development Goals Summit, Climate Ambition Summit, among others. The Prime Minister will also grace the welcome reception to be hosted by US President Joe Biden in the honor of the heads of states and executive heads of different countries who would arrive in New York for the assembly. Premier Dahal will directly fly to China from New York to attend the inaugural session of Hangzhou National Games. As Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal embarks on the twin tour of US and China, experts back home have urged the Nepali delegation to draw the global attention in favor of the country and national issues, considering the UN General Assembly is an event attended by heads of states from around the world. Premier Dahal's attendance and address at the UN General Assembly is going to be his first in 4 years as the Prime Minister. While he has informed that the Parliament that he would shed light on the efforts made to conclude the peace process, analysts have warned that he does not seem much concerned about laws related to transitional justice. Nepal has also barely achieved 23% of the Sustainable Development Goals, as experts have urged the Prime Minister to call international community to lend more support in this regard. They also called for efforts to avail from international funds and services for countries reeling due to climate change and hold bilateral discussions with countries that have in the past provided support and with the countries that host the most Nepali migrant workers. It is also expected that Nepal will take initiatives to activate long-time agenda of the SAARC Association through a ministerial level meeting. The Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police has concluded its first round of probe into the 60-kilogram gold scam, as it has entrusted the Office of the Government Attorney to file the case against the alleged culprits. In the course of the investigation, it was revealed that 23 foreign nationals involved in the case had obtained citizenship certificate and passport from Nepal with relative ease, further highlighting the fragile security and administrative mechanism of the country. The CIB investigations pointed out the involvement of 50 individuals, including 23 foreign nationals, in the 60-kilogram gold scam. The gold scam this time does not just concern the smuggling of gold through the country's customs, but it also highlights how the nation's security mechanism was breached by the criminal gang. The 4 arrested alleged culprits of Chinese origin were carrying Nepali citizenship and passport. The citizenship certificate were issued from Kathmandu and Kavrey-Palanchok districts. Daojing Wang, who has been billed as the main culprit, was living in Nepal for the past 10 years in the guise of a fruit businessman, while another alleged culprit, Dawa Shiring, too had lived in Nepal for the past 8 years. However, none of the security intelligence agencies had any idea about the dreaded nexus, which included 23 foreign nationals. Dawa had even married with Amalar Roka of Rolpa to increase Nepali connection, as he was found to build good rapport with Maoist leader Barsaman Pun, Dipesh Pun, son of Vice President Nanda Bahadur Pun, and Rahul Mahara, the son of another high-profile Maoist leader Krishna Bahadur Mahara. The nexus had even leased over 3 ropanis of land in capital Stoka to operate a factory for extracting and melting gold. The country's intelligence department did not have the slightest of idea regarding all the planning of smuggling taking place. The nexus thrived on the situation and smuggled 362 kilograms of gold in a single year. The Bureau has called the case highly sensitive, as more government authorities who are used to obtain the citizenship and Nepali passport could also be dragged into the case. Welcome back. In our Public Voice segment, we've asked people in several provinces what should be done to protect children's rights. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
सचेतनाको कार्यक्रमहरु गाउँ-गाउँमा टोल-टोलमा घर-घरमा पुर्याउने हालको ठोस कार्यक्रमहरु ल्याउनु पर्यो।
बालबालिकाका निम्ति जति पनि कानुनहरु बनेका छन् नि, ती कानुनहरु लिखित रूपमा मात्रै छन्। तिनीहरुलाई चाहिँ व्यावहारिक रूपमा प्रभावकारी तरिकाले कार्यान्वयन गर्न जरुरी छ।
समुदाय र अभिभावकहरुमा सचेतना फैलाउनु आवश्यक छ।
तल्लो तहदेखि पाठ्यक्रमबाटै यिनीहरुलाई बालबालिका सम्बन्धी अधिकारहरु उनीहरुलाई चाहिँ सिकाउनु पर्दछ।
बालबालिकालाई घरदेखि नै सानैबाट चाहिँ बाल अधिकारप्रति सचेत हुनु पर्यो।
बाल मैत्री तरिकाबाट स्कुलको वातावरण सिर्जना गरेर त्यस्तै खालको पठन पाठन गर्ने वातावरण राज्यले सिर्जना गरिदिनु पर्यो।
सबै बालबालिकाले इक्वल रेस्पेक्ट, इक्वल एजुकेसन पाउनु पर्यो।
पढाइमा अलि बुक्सहरु चाहिँ उपलब्ध गराइदिनु पर्यो, राम्ररी बुक्सहरु उपलब्ध गराइदिनु पर्यो।
बाल मैत्री शिक्षाहरु चाहिँ यो देशमा लागू हुनुपर्छ।
बालबालिकाले मनोरञ्जन, नृत्य जस्ता कार्यहरु गर्न चाहन्छन् उनीहरुलाई गराउने।
राज्यले विभिन्न समयमा ऐन कानुन बनाएको छ, यसलाई कार्यान्वयन गर्नुपर्छ।
टिचरहरुले मात्रै ध्यान दिएर भएन, घरको प्यारेन्ट्सहरुले पनि राम्रोसँग बच्चा पढ्नु पर्छ, होमवर्क गराउनु पर्छ।
खेल्ने, डुल्ने, रमाउने बेलामा उनलाई जबरजस्ती हामी झोला बोकेर स्कुलमा पठाइरहेका छौं। त्यो उनीहरुको अधिकार हनन भइरहेको छ।
जुन किसिमको कानुन बनेको छ त्यो कानुनलाई पनि अझ थप परिमार्जित गरेर बालबालिका मैत्री बनाउनु पर्छ।
बाल श्रमबाट टाढा राख्नु पर्यो उनीहरुलाई।
अवेयरनेस प्रोग्रामहरु गर्नुपर्छ।
नीति नियमहरुको राम्रोसँग पालना गर्नुपर्ने र त्यसलाई राम्रोसँग कार्यान्वयन गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ।
सडकको पेटीमा देखिने बालबालिकाहरुलाई राज्यले तोकेका विशेष संरक्षण व्यवस्थाको चाहिँ उचित रूपमा तपाईको कार्यान्वयन हुनुपर्दछ।
प्राविधिक शिक्षामा जोड दियो भने पक्कै पनि बाल अधिकार अथवा बालबालिकाहरूको अधिकार सुनिश्चित हुन्छ।
प्यारेन्ट्सहरुले टिचरहरुले हैन बच्चालाई ध्यान दिनु पर्यो, पढाइमा देखि लिएर खेलकुददेखि लिएर।
Nepal's Teachers Federation has demanded the government to ensure the professional integrity and security of all the community school teachers and staff in the country, stating that the government has introduced education bill that will displace the school teachers and staff. The Teachers Federation has demanded the government to carry out a 17-point amendment to the bill. The amendment seeks non-involvement of local levels in the allocation of teachers and staffers, appointment of principal, and promotion and transfer of teachers at community schools. Saying that the new bill is also trying to destabilize the workers' rights, the Teachers Federation has demanded to ensure trade union rights envisioned by the National Charter. The Federation has warned that if their demands are not met, the community schools will be shut nationwide from coming Wednesday. They have also threatened to hit the street to press their demands. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why have teachers become agitated concerning the education bill registered at the Parliament? Your options are A. Politicizing education, B. Natural interest, and C. Lapses in understanding. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Let's move on to the international update. Flooding death toll in Libya's coastal city of Derna has soared to 11,300. A further 10,100 people are reported missing as search efforts continue following a massive flood fed by the breaching of 2 dams in heavy rains. The mayor of Derna, Abdelmonem Al-Ghaiti, said the tally could climb to 20,000 given the number of neighborhoods that were washed out. The storm also killed about 170 people elsewhere in the country. The flooding swept away entire families in Derna on Sunday night and exposed vulnerabilities in the oil-rich nation that has been mired in conflict since a 2011 uprising that toppled long-ruling dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Meanwhile, an official in eastern Libya has denied allegations that many of those killed in devastating floods last weekend were told to stay in their homes and that soldiers warned people in the city of Derna from fleeing. Derna has begun burying its dead, mostly in mass graves. More than 3,000 bodies were buried by Thursday, while another 2,000 were still being processed. Most of the dead were buried in mass graves outside Derna, while others were transferred to nearby towns and cities. Untold numbers could be buried under drifts of mud and debris, including overturned cars and chunks of concrete that rise up to 4 meters high. Supporters of an exiled Iranian opposition group marched in Brussels on the eve of the first anniversary of the death of 22-year-old Kurdish-Iranian woman Mahsa Amini, which sparked months of anti-government protests in the country. The demonstrators, many of whom waved the flag of National Council of Resistance of Iran and photographs of its leaders, called for the overthrow of Iran's government. The protests in Iran that followed the death on September 16 of Amini, arrested for allegedly flouting the country's Islamic Republic's mandatory dress code, spiraled into the biggest show of opposition to the authorities in years. Over 500 people, including 71 minors, were killed, hundreds injured and thousands arrested, rights groups say, in the unrest that was eventually crushed by security forces. The Tehran government has accused the United States and Israel and their local agents of fomenting the unrest to destabilize the country. Italy transferred hundreds of migrants to Sicily from its southernmost island of Lampedusa as the country struggles to cope with an unprecedented number of migrants arriving by sea from North Africa. Lampedusa, Italy's first port of call for people crossing from North Africa, has long been a flashpoint in Europe's migration crisis. Migrants who arrive there are regularly transferred to Sicily to ease overcrowding, but when arrivals surge, this cannot happen quickly enough. The island's reception center had more than 6,000 people in on Wednesday, the Italian Red Cross said, compared with its official capacity of around 400. Overall, about 118,500 boat migrants have arrived in Italy since the start of the year, according to Interior Ministry data last updated on Tuesday morning. The figure is almost double what was recorded in the same period of 2022. Britain is to pump £500 million into Tata Steel to decarbonize its Welsh site in a deal aimed at securing the future of the country's steel industry, but which puts as many as 3,000 jobs at risk. The £1.25 billion total funding package for Britain's biggest steel works includes £750 million for Tata to pay for the switch to producing steel from lower-emission electric arc furnaces from coal-powered methods. Britain government said in a statement its grant, described as one of the largest government support packages in history, would help safeguard 5,000 jobs. Tata Steel currently employs more than 8,000 people, raising the prospect that there will be as many as 3,000 redundancies as the lower carbon electric furnaces are less labor intensive. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.